Good morning, everyone. It's Rabbi Akiva Males, and I hope you're well. I wanted to share with you some Divrei Torah for Parshas Nasso that we're going to be reading this week. And I also wanted to combine that with a Mazel Tov message to two special families in our shul, in our community, that are celebrating Simchas today. And let me begin. We have a fascinating parsha we're going to read this week, and that's Nasso. And Nasso has a lot of details in there about the Nazir, about that person who takes on an added level of kedusha, of sanctity, which involves abstaining from wine, not getting their hair cut, and not coming into contact with the dead. Our Haftarah that's going to be read this Shabbos is taken from Sefer Shoftim, and it's the origin story of Shimshon, perhaps one of the most famous Nazirim that Klal Yisrael has ever known, that ended up being a shofet, one of the great judges and leaders of Klal Yisrael. And if we remember the story of Shimshon, his backstory, his parents, for many, many years, they'd been childless. They'd been davening to Hashem. They'd been trying whatever they could do to have a child, and nothing was working for them. And finally, when Manoach and his wife, at some point, this angel, a malach, comes and appears to Eshes Manoach, the wife of Manoach, and tells her that she's going to have this child. He's going to be a Nazir. They're shocked about this news. They daven to Hashem, let this person or malach, let him come back and give us further instructions. And the malach comes back. They bring a korban. The malach, it says, jumps into the flames, ascends up to heaven. And then the pasuk tells us something absolutely wild. The pasuk, and again, it's going to be read in the Haftarah. It's in Shoftim Parak Yud Gimel 13, and it's pasuk Chaf Aleph. The pasuk says, "V'lo yasaf od malach Hashem lahirao el manoach v'lishto." And this angel, this messenger of Hashem, never returned to Manoach or his wife. Az yada Manoach, at that point, Manoach knew ki malach Hashem hu, that this was indeed an angel and was not a regular human being. And the question is obvious. What does that mean? Because this being, we know it's an angel, but because it seems like Manoach and his wife may have been in doubt, is this an angel, is it not an angel? But what finally sealed the deal, what made them absolutely positive that it was not an angel, was the fact that he never returned. Why is that a raya? Why is that a proof that that being was an angel? But in fact, he never came back? So you'll see some of the Mefarshim struggle with this. The Radak, right there on the page in the Navi, he struggles with this. He gives two suggestions, two answers, but it's not entirely clear how the question is answered. I saw a beautiful answer this week from the famous Rav Shalom Shwadran, who is known as the Maggid of Yerushalayim, that we all know, Rabbi Pesach Kron, who we're familiar with, his writings and his speaking. He was almost a protege of Rabbi Shalom Shwadran. He was very close with him. You could call him a Talmud. And he really modeled much of his career, especially his early writings, were telling over, bringing to light many of the messages of Rav Shwadran. I saw this week a beautiful Torah thought from Rav Shwadran which addresses this. And he wants to answer this question. Why was it that by the fact that this being never returned, all of a sudden Manoach and his wife, they could be confident that he was an angel? And here's what Rav Shwadran explains. He says, human nature is as follows. And sometimes it's subliminal, sometimes it's subconscious, but here's human nature. If we'd had a role in somebody else's success, if we had a role in doing a favor for them, which snowballed into them feeling really good, achieving some degree of success, something is natural. The natural reaction is we want to come by to Shep Nachas. We want to come by to feel good about ourselves, to see, wow, what did I put into motion? If I gave someone a loan, I helped them find a new job, helped make a shidduch, got a couple together, whatever it was, there's a need that we have to come back and to see every now and then just how is my handiwork, what's going on with what I set into motion. It'll make us feel good about ourselves. And there's something else that happens too, subliminally, subconsciously. Sometimes we might go out of our way to just slip in. We might take a longer walk home from shul to walk by that party, wish them a good Shabbos, ask how things are going, just as a way to check in and perhaps remind the person in a very subtle way of this great favor that had once taken place. That's just human nature. That's how we're hardwired. It's there. And what was Manoach and his wife's reaction? They said as follows. Here it was that we have been trying for so many years to have a child, and we weren't blessed with children. And all of a sudden, this being shows up. He's bearer of great news, telling us that we're going to be blessed with a child. He's going to be a Nazir, a future leader of Bnei Yisrael. I don't know. Was this a Navi? Was it a prophet? Was it a Malach? We don't know. But you know what I do know? He never came back. That's just not human. He never came back to try to shep some nachas from what he had set into motion. He never came back to ask us, Nu, how's he doing? How was his first week at sleepaway camp? He never did anything of that nature. He never came back. That's not human behavior. That's not human behavior. By the fact he never returned to either feel good about what he had shared and what he had set into motion, or to remind us that we were in some small fashion a little bit beholden to him, and that we had to have some degree of hakaras hatov. He never did that, and that's just against human nature. That's not a human. That was a malach. That's how Rosh Shalom Shwadron explains that. Now, I saw someone else build on that this week. I saw my friend in Baltimore build on that, and he said, you know what? We're not malachim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows that we're all human beings. We're not malachim, and we just don't have that ability. Manoach and his wife, they recognize that. That's a malach. But most of us, I'd say all of us, we're not malach, we're not angels, we're human beings. And it's a very real interest we have to check up and see what's going on. I want to feel some nachas. I want to see what's happening. So we don't have it. But what we can try to be is not the opposite extreme. What's the opposite extreme of this malach? So Rabbi Fran points out the opposite extreme of this malach is Paro. We find this in Parshas Miketz, that after Yosef has been elevated and put into an incredible position, being the viceroy in Egypt, everyone is being sustained through him. Paro tells Yosef what his new power will entail and what his responsibilities will be. But then Paro says something dramatic. He tells Paro, it's in Miketz, it's Perek Mem Aleph in Sefer Bereshis, 41, and it's Pasuk Mem Aleph also, 41. So it's 41. Here's what Paro tells Yosef. He says, Vayomer Paro el Yosef, Re'ena sati yoscha al kol eretz Mitzrayim. Don't you ever forget. Take a look. Who put you here? Who do you owe a debt of hakaras hatov to? Don't ever get carried away. It's all because of me. That's what Paro's drilling into Yosef's head. Don't ever forget who got you this seat. It was me, and I'm going to remind you of that always. You will always be beholden to me. And that's Paro. That's a very, very terrible attitude. There's a very human need that we have is not to feel beholden to anybody else. We want to feel self-confident. We want to have a sense of self-esteem. It's very debilitating to go through life feeling beholden to another human being. And that's exactly what Paro was trying to do to Yosef, saying, you owe me. That's what Paro was doing. So we see, look at this contrast. What this Malach did over here was that he never wanted to return to the house, to the scene of Manoach and his wife, little baby Shimshon, to see what was going on, because he didn't want to be there to shep nachas and possibly step on Manoach and his wife and make them feel that they were beholden to him. And they said, wow, that's just not human. Nobody is that careful. We can't be that careful. We can show up. We can say good Shabbos. We can enjoy our nachas. We can do all that. But you know what we should always be careful not to do? Never be a paro. Never go to someone and rub it in their face and let them know that they are beholden to us, because without our actions, they never would have what they have now. They wouldn't be enjoying whatever status they have now. That's terrible. That's something that Paro does. We don't want to do that. So let's go through life being involved in chesed. Let's try to be sharing acts of kindness and helping people as much as we can. But let's never hold it up and remind them of all this. And I want to take a moment to wish a mazel tov to two special families in our shul, in our community, who, as I said, are making simchas today. The first is Ruvi and Jamie Gibber. Ruvi and Jamie Gibber, last Friday, were blessed with a little baby boy on Shavuos, the first day of Shavuos. And this morning, he's having his bris milah in their house. Unfortunately, we can't be together. It's not in shul. We're not celebrating in person as a community. But please know, Ruby and Jamie, please know, we're all celebrating for you. We're thinking of you, and we wish you a great big mazel tov. And I think this is such a beautiful Dvar Torah for their simcha, because Ruby and Jamie are such balei chesed. Jamie's so involved with the kids in our community, the teens in our community, with her efforts with NCSY. And Ruby is such a bal chesed. Everyone knows how handy Ruby is, how there's just nothing he's not able to fix. And how many people in our community have asked Ruby in a crisis, can you please come over? My heating, my cooling system, something's not working. My plumbing, there's a backup. And how many times is it Erev Shabbos or Erev Yom Tov? There's so many people in our community who turn to Ruby for one degree or another for assistance. And Ruby and Jamie, together with all the chesed they do, they don't hold it in anyone's face and say, remember what I did for you. They're happy to be involved in chesed, to see what can I do to help, and then to walk away. And that's wonderful. We don't want you to walk away. We want to see you, and we want to celebrate with you, and we're happy to let you know how your nachas is doing and everything that you've done. But this is something that made an impression on all of us. And I think it's our collective bracha to the baby that, God willing, will have his name very soon, that this baby should emulate his parents. He should be greatly involved in chesed, but also learn how not to make people feel beholden to him. That's Mazel Tov number one. And the second Mazel Tov is another special family in our community, in our shul, that's celebrating today is the Nelson family. Dr. Michael and Chana Nelson are celebrating the bar mitzvah of their son Ezra. Unfortunately, with shuls being closed both in New Jersey still on Shabbos and here, they're not able to have a full Shabbos celebration with the community at hand that they so wanted. And all of us recognize that. But what they are doing today is Ezra's going to learn via Zoom. He's going to learn his Parsha at 2 o'clock Memphis time for a half hour. And everybody is invited to attend. An email went out with that Zoom information. And I think we could say the same idea about Michael and Chana as well. Michael, as we know, is a physician, and Chana works together with him in the office. There are so many people that in their line as a physician, in their line of work as physicians, in helping people maintain a healthy lifestyle and bringing them back to better health. There's so many people. This is such a chesed, and there's so many people who truly have a debt of gratitude to them. And besides what they do in the office, they're involved in the community. There's constantly people that they're happy to help, whether it's shopping for items we can't find here in Memphis when they're on their way back from Jersey, whatever it may be. There are so many people in the community that they've got a wonderful relationship with, and they're happy to help with, and there's a wonderful sense of camaraderie. And this is something that we see with them as well. They're very involved in chesed, but as involved in chesed as they are, they don't want to make anyone feel beholden to them. They do their chesed and they walk away. And I think we can say the same bracha to Ezra. Ezra, you should emulate your parents. You should go out of your way to be involved in chesed, to think about others, to think about the community, but at the same token, do your chesed and don't make anybody feel beholden to you. That you've got a great example from your parents. That's the way they conduct themselves. And God willing, that's the way you'll conduct yourselves as well. And we should always remember, all of us should remember this lesson from Rav Shalom Shwadran about what he saw in this Haftarah. That's what made such an impression on Manoach and his wife. The fact that this Malach, who would have had such a right to come and check in, see how his nachas is doing, never did that. Why? Because he didn't want to make anyone feel beholden to him. That's not human. That's a Malach. So we should all aspire to that. And again, we don't want anyone to walk away. We want everyone to stay put and remain and to remain part of our kehillah. But please, let's all remember not to go to the opposite extreme, not to be a paro, not to hold it in anyone's face and rub it in. That's something for a paro harasha. That's not for who we aspire to be as members of Bnei Yisrael. Have a good Shabbos, and again, a great big Mazel Tov to the Gibber family and to the Nelson family. Have a good Shabbos, everyone.